turnovers at bad times, which kind of brings me to our postseason thoughts, which I have in our notes, no thoughts, just cardiac cats, because it's so true between the Chargers game and then the Jamal Agnew turnover and then the Trevor turnover and just everything going perfectly for the Jags to win that game. Like, I don't wish injury on anyone at all, but Patrick Mahomes getting hurt is just one of those things, unfortunately, in sports where like it might hurt another team so much, but it could have another team fall into place, and that could have been us. And like the rest of the season, bad turnovers at bad times and them beating themselves turned into a loss. And it's like they were playing with house money. They had no business beating the Chiefs, but they were right there.
Right.
And that just defines the season for me. I was at the Chargers game. It honestly just kind of felt like a movie, and people like talked about how amazing the game was. Like nobody in the crowd left. Like nobody in the fucking crowd left. It was what, like 27-0 at the half, I think 27-0.
Yeah.
Nobody fucking left. And it was insane. Like one of the craziest games I've ever been to. And I feel as though the comeback kind of shied away what the immediate problem was. And it goes right back to the theme of fucking turnovers. 4 turnovers in the first half. Like that, or first quarter even, maybe. I know it was the first half, maybe in the first quarter. I know it was 3 in the first quarter. It might have even been 4. But it's just like, I thought that Chargers team had us in a body bag, and nobody seemed to talk about the turnover issue. The Chiefs, I think they were a super beatable team, but like I said, like we beat ourselves again. And the Agnew turnover, the Trevor turnover, I don't understand why people are so mad at Jamal Agnew. Like, we wouldn't have even been in this game if it wasn't for him, because he was averaging like 40 yards of return in the postseason. And a couple of his returns set the offense up for touchdowns in the Chargers game because he put them in good field position. And it's like, yeah, he had a bad turnover at a bad time, but like, has he had a single turnover all year even? I don't know. I don't know that answer. I'm asking. If anybody knows, like, let me know. But it didn't feel like he did. So some of the hate he got on the internet was like fucking insane to me.
Yeah, it was unfortunate. Like my heart just broke because I thought back to the Titans game, and we had a little kid that was sitting with us. It was his birthday, and he was just like, Jamal Agnew, I love you. I play you in Madden. And Kendra was like, oh my God, yes, like someone that appreciates Jamal Agnew, because it does seem like, he's not, besides that very obvious and unfortunate play that of course everybody's going to talk about because it does come at such a crucial moment, right? Like that's just how it works. But I thought that, other than that, he wasn't that bad. Like I thought he performed pretty well. And
oh my God, yeah.
He, at the very least, was not worthy of all the criticism that I think he was getting.
Had Butker not tripped him up on that kick return on Saturday, he was gone. Money gone.
Right.
Like what it's like one of those, it feels like a penalty kick in fucking soccer when it's like, if the goalie stops it, that's fucking sick. Good for you. But in that moment, I was like, he's money. He's gone. Everyone knows he's one of the best returners in the league. And then fucking the punter takes you down. That's got to be like demoralizing.
Yeah.
But I love Jamal.
Yeah. No, he's great. You probably have called yourself on record a Jamal Agnew apologist. So
I am a Jamal Agnew apologist. Jamal Agnew apologist.
So I have some postseason Jags questions for you. Are you ready?
Yes.
So numbers wise, we look at the season. We don't look at, and we can get into obviously the nitty gritty, but let's just say for explanation's sake, the 2017 Jags and the 2022 Jags, both first in the AFC South, both make it to the playoffs. One goes a little farther than the other. Similarities and differences? What are your thoughts?
Similarities, I would say the defense holding through the stretch of the season, like that, like week 10 or 11 through, our like this season's defense felt like almost lights out, where like they were like a huge issue in the beginning of the season. The 2017 defense was a really good defense year round, but like as they got deeper into the season and further into the playoffs, and like Blake Bortles just, I would rather have Trevor Lawrence than Blake Bortles, even with the turnovers now. Blake Bortles was like our best rusher, I think, that postseason, if I'm not mistaken. So it's like, that's the difference there for me. So I would say differences, quarterback play, similarities, the defense really held through down the stretch of the season. I would say another difference is the like attitudes in the locker room. There were a lot of big personalities on that 2017 team. And they were expected to be good. Like the expectation is another difference. Like that team had to be good. The personalities on that team were a lot bigger, a lot more cocky. There were expectations on them. This team had no expectations whatsoever. I feel like the reason that this team had like a spark of any postseason aspirations, let alone like a postseason run, was just the camaraderie of the locker room. And I think that started with Doug Peterson and the fact that they just have like pretty decent dudes on the team. Like the nicest dude I can think of on the 2017 team is Calais Campbell, and he's like kind of one of the only ones where I'm like, you know, stand up dude. But on this team, I'm like, everyone's freaking awesome. And I would say, yeah, like I'll just circle back to the lack of expectations. I think that was like the difference. Like this team wasn't supposed to be anywhere or do anything, and they thrived. So that was probably, I guess, like the biggest things. A lot of people are saying like they don't like, there was like a huge debate on Jags Twitter the other day about like which team was better, which season was more exciting, like who did you like more, blah, blah, blah. I loved this team so much more than that team. Just because the dudes on this team are so much more likable.
I feel like at the end of the season, the momentum is going for the Jags this year. Whereas at the end of 2017, it was kind of like, we've made it to X place. Like you said, those like, how are we going to meet those expectations? It felt like the momentum was going against them. I feel like this time it's going with them.
Yeah, for sure. The expectations were definitely a lot different. And I loved this team so much more.
They're super likable. Like just even like social media, like, and you know, credit to the Jag social media people. I mean, they really do kill it in the sense that it's very much in the locker room with the guys, you know, getting to see them as who they are as people beyond being a player, which I think is just humanizing them is so important.
Yeah, that clip that went viral this week of Zay talking to Trevor and then Trevor hugging everyone in the locker room, like that wouldn't have happened on the 2017 team.
I agree.
And that's the biggest difference for me. Honestly, they're completely different teams, 110%. Like they don't have a ton of similarity at all. But like this team is so much more likable, and that just personifies all of it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's my thoughts there.
Yeah. And then obviously Chris Collinsworth on the broadcast on Saturday, you know, say what you want about Chris. He was giving Trevor all the props. And I honestly, it made me smile when he said, you know, this is not the last time we are going to see Patrick Mahomes and Trevor Lawrence go face to face in the NFL playoffs. And that was kind of like a moment for me where I was like, oh my God, these guys are so young. Like there is so Patrick Mahomes, you know, credit to him as a quarterback. I feel like, you know, we've seen him in the postseason so many times at this point, but you know, again, he's still, you know, he could have a great career ahead of him. And, you know, I think he does. And, you know, it's awesome to see that Trevor is getting to that level where we can see him potentially being a competitor for those kind of guys. And it was just awesome to see him really come into the NFL this year. I feel like last year was much more of a transitional period for him, and the style of play and the level of play. Yeah. So I was happy to hear them say that on the broadcast. It just, you know, made me smile. I thought it was nice.
Totally. I think that if Trevor can fix the turnovers in the offseason and he can fucking nut the fuck up and hit a couple guys the way he did on that last Chiefs drive, money. Yeah. Goated.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
there was a period where it was almost like, is he a bust? Like, you know what I mean? So
oh my God. No, yeah, there was
The
like a
second
moment.
half of this season, it was just like, oh my God, he remembered. Like, we're gonna like he can play professional football. Like, I think he really redeemed himself in the second half of this season.
I was
know.
very skeptical of like the Doug system at first because for a hot minute it felt like he was prioritizing Trevor figuring his system out over winning winnable games at winnable times. And that was my biggest issue with Trevor and Doug at the time. And a lot of people were making excuses for him. And I was just at a point with like he was going so south. The turnovers were insane. We were losing stupid games to stupid teams. And, you know, he wound up buying into what Doug was selling quicker than I think people expected at a certain point. And I'm glad he did. I fucking love Doug Peterson now. I'm on the Trevor train. It just, I understand why people were giving the excuse of Urban Meyer, but it's like at a certain time you have to show, it's like he showed either he was the best coming of like Christ to earth, or he was like fucking the worst quarterback of all time. And he really just hit a switch of being like really inconsistent and terrible to like, okay, he's arrived. And it just fucking happened, I swear to God, in 1 week.
Oh, yeah. It was crazy.
Like 1 week. So, and I'm glad it happened. I don't care how it happens. I don't care when it happened. It fucking happened, and I'm here for it. But I would like to see the shitty turnovers change.
Yeah, which leads us into kind of our next thing, which is how are we feeling about free agency? Obviously, I know for me at the end of the season, and I've seen it on Jags Twitter, Jags radio, everywhere, the passing defense. I have here, so we fit it. Oh, as I literally start throwing things. So the Jags finished the season with a 238.2 yards allowed per game, 27th in the league. So my question that I've heard is how much of that is on the linebackers? And then we can talk about where do we need to go with free agency.
So I think that you have to let the linebackers kind of, well, I don't know. It's going to depend on the Josh Allen situation.
Right.
Because I don't think Josh Allen is going to take a pay cut whatsoever. I think that he's going to want to take what he's worth. And if that's not in Jacksonville, that's fine. I think that he will go where the money is. And that's fine. I'm so fine with that. So I do think that they've invested a lot of draft capital recently in the defense, a lot of that at linebacker. So I don't want to keep doing that if it's not working out. I understand that free agency is the best place to probably address this problem. And I think that you are more likely to be able to address the secondary in the draft because I think that there's going to be more options there with the slot that we have. I'm not super balls deep into draft talk yet, but just off of like a first glance. So I do think that linebacker is something that they're going to have to address. That being said, there's 3 major people they have to sign before I think that they can attack the linebacker issue if they aren't going to face it in the draft. And I do think that they can sign Evan Ingram, Arden Key, and Jawan Taylor. But I don't know about Jawan. I think that Evan wants to be in Jacksonville. I think that we can easily give him $9 million for a couple of years and it'll be fine. We haven't had an elite player at tight end since Mercedes Lewis, and I think that he's a big upgrade from what Mercedes Lewis was when he was in Jacksonville. We also have invested some draft stock in tight end, and it all like Luke's not really playing, and you know Chris Manhertz is like your blocking tight end. He also isn't out there a whole lot, so Evan Ingram really has to be your option there. I think that he's the fan favorite to be brought back, especially because he loves Jacksonville and very openly wants to be here. I think that he might even give us a discount if we really need it. Arden Key, another must-have for me. Jawan Taylor, I think that the way that the season kind of shook out with the injuries on that line, he's a huge person to bring back, but I think that he might want too much money, and that's because you have to keep Trevor's future contract kind of in the back of your mind when you're signing all of these deals, because after next season, you're probably going to want to pay him, because if you don't, you get into the Lamar Jackson situations where you've waited too long, and every day that passes, you're going to owe him more money.
Right.
So that being said, I think that it's time to start, in the next couple of weeks, looking at who we might be able to realistically get in the draft. I'm hoping it's going to be secondary, and then get your guys back and address free agency at linebacker. I guess that really is kind of your best option, but you've invested so much draft stock there at that point. And it's like, I don't think that you can. Josh Allen, I love him. He's like the only guy left on the team from that. I don't know. Like, I love him, but I think it's time to break up.
Yeah. First and foremost, they need to get under cap.
I'm not worried about the cap.
Because they are.
I think it's fake.
You've heard it here first, folks. The cap is fake.
You're telling me no, the cap is fucking fake, dude. It's so fake. I don't believe in it.
I don't know, dude.
It's a lie. We can launder some money. I will personally launder money for Trent Baalke.
Start a GoFundMe.
I'm not kidding. Trent, call me. You are starting to earn some cool points with me. I'll go to jail for you, Trent Baalke.
Okay, well, for those of us who think that caps are real and businesses have to put a limit on their spending,
nah.
They need to get under cap. And I think the first thing they're going to do is get rid of Shaquille.
Shaq is gone 11 weeks ago, Haley. Shaq is gone.
They haven't done it yet, but he's gone. Even when they do that 17 mil, 13 mil guaranteed, 14 dead money.
Bye.
So, or 4 mil dead money. So that gives you 4 million hypothetically to spend. I think you make some good points about the linebacker situation, and I would agree at this rate, if you've spent X number of dollars and X number of draft picks to build a system, stop wasting money on that system. So I would say a cornerback would be great. I think that would be great for them. I think there's a couple in the market that would work, but I honestly never know with the Jags, and I'm a Patriots fan too. I never know what they're gonna do.
You have Eli Apple in our notes, and I would personally buy. I would buy his jersey from DHgate, purposely DHgate, because I don't even respect him, to burn it. Literally, I would hold like a curse, like of some sort, to curse him before he got into town.
What does it say next to Eli Apple on the notes?
LOL.
Because if you look, we were talking about free agency. That is my hell. I've been listening all week to just different people and reading different articles, and I kept seeing Eli Apple, and I was dying because I know the deep-seated hatred Kendra has. So I had to put him on the notes. Not really serious. Jags,
actually,
please.
You know what? Let's talk about him for a second. Okay. Did you see his tweets this week?
I did.
What are your thoughts? If you haven't seen his tweets and you live under a rock, basically he tweeted some really shitty shit to it was like an argument, but him and Stephon Diggs were like going back and forth, and like a couple other people, and he was like, have fun in Cancun in 3.
Cancun, and then he did like
his heart thing.
Yeah.
And DeMar Hamlin's obviously number 3, and like it was very shady, and he just kept talking shit, and then his mom started talking shit, and it's like you are not good enough to be like.
No, it was one of those situations where it's like you're talking a lot of shit for most of the population to be like, who?
Mid.
Like, if you're gonna talk a big game, like, be a big game. Like, I just feel like if you're gonna
I'm talking shit about him, and I'm in a cat outfit, but like,
I also like probably couldn't run a mile right now to save my ass. It's so. Can we talk about how cold it is outside? It's freezing.
I don't want to talk about it.
Freezing here where we are. So, if I went outside, I think I would freeze. But anyway,
they spent a lot of money in free agency last year, but it's like, I don't know, man. I'm hoping that Devin Lloyd will grow a brain in the next 6 months. And that's going to solve all my problems.
I'm worried about their cap space.
What if Chad Muma and Devin Lloyd could like share their football IQ and physical ability at 50-50?
Yeah.
I think that's where I'm at. I'm also really hoping that this edible doesn't kick in while we're on here, but I have a feeling.
So you're just going to start like genetically modifying the team? Is that your strategy here?
I'm pro GMO. Yeah. I'm really not, but like, yeah.
Speak on it.
Yeah.
Speak on it.
Can we, who's got some Petri dishes?